Hello, and welcome to Connecting Jewish Grandparents, the Grand Plan podcast. I am thrilled that you are here on a journey to make your meaningful, joyous Jewish legacy. So, welcome. Here we go. This past Friday, one of the grandmothers that I'm working with, Anna, got the call got a call on Friday morning that, well, it filled her with joy. And that was her son asking if they could come for Shabbat. Friday morning, can we come and stay with you for Shabbat? Anna was thrilled and a little hesitant. But she did all the things. She ran to the store. She bought everything you could need and more. She wanted nothing but a most joyous, incredible Shabbat for her son and her daughter-in-law, and most importantly, her two granddaughters. And she hurried and she ran and she did and she put out a beautiful, incredible Shabbat on like a moment's notice. But in reflecting on it, she was a little bit disappointed. Disappointed that her granddaughters weren't as engaged as she hoped they would be. And disappointed that maybe her son didn't respect her enough to ask earlier to come. We talked about these struggles, and I want to share with you part of what we discussed in our coaching session. And again, I would love to start with a free coaching session with you or sign up for a coaching package. And all of that is in the show notes. But this one I want to share with you because it relates to this week's Torah portion, Vayera. And Vayera opens with Avraham Avinu, with Abraham, our great patriarch. And he has just performed on himself a circumcision, and it is the hottest day and the most painful day of recovery, and, right? What does Avraham see in the distance? If you know the story, he jumps up, he sees three travelers, and he runs to host them. There's nothing that he would like to do more than the mitzvah of hachnasat orchim, welcoming in guests, like my friend Anna, who is so excited to welcome. Right? And if I read to you from the text of the parasha, right? Avraham, he runs out from the open tent and he welcomes them and he bows to them. Please come. Let me get you a little water so you can wash your feet and you can rest under the tree. And since you're passing by your servant, let me bring you some bread so you can be refreshed before you go on your way. Right? So Avraham is like, yes, I want to host you. I want to host you. And they say back to him, Ken tase keshe dibarta. Yeah, sure, whatever you said is basically what they say, like, sure, do whatever you said. Now, would you be thrilled by that answer of I'm doing everything to extend an invitation and like, yeah, whatever you said? Obviously, the commentators have different opinions on what the intonation meant, but it certainly does not slow down Avraham, who rushed to Sarah in the tent and said, hurry, get fine flour and knead it and bake bread. And Avraham himself ran to the herd and took a calf and he gave it to his helper who hurried to prepare it. And he brought this and he brought that. Right? He goes above and beyond, like my friend Anna in the supermarket, getting everything she can prepare for the last minute hospitality of her son and daughter-in-law and her grandchildren. Now, I should say, as you might know from the moment of Abraham welcoming in these guests, the commentators say that these three individuals that he welcomes are in fact melachim, angels, divine messengers. You can sit with that however you would like. But you know that one of the terms that we used most often to describe our grandchildren is our little angels, your little angel. And so this isn't an unusual scenario at all. Avraham and Sarah are going above and beyond to welcome three angels. Now, the next thing that you would think, again, I said it doesn't seem like they're so grateful in what they say, but whenever we have a meal, like my husband and I, there's kind of an expectation that the guests share something, that they speak, that they share words of Torah, that they prepared something to share, that they don't just come and eat and go, right? I don't know how it is at your table. Maybe you do a lot of hosting, maybe you don't. My husband and I used to do a lot of entertaining in the rabbinic position that he carried. Now we do it less, but we still very much enjoy it. So he hurries to get them all this food, and they say, "Where's your wife, Sarah?" She's there in the tent. I could go line by line. I really encourage you to always read the Torah portion of the week, once, twice, however many times. But all in, I think the angels say a total of 12 words. Maybe it was 14. You can count, let me know. But it feels like maybe it's not fulfilling. It's not a deep and meaningful conversation. And yet, this moment changes history. It changes everything. So when we bring it back to my friend Anna, or to you as grandparents, how often do you do the same? You prepare for the visit. You set the table, you prepare the outing, you choose the game, you make their favorite food, you buy their favorite ice cream, you bake the special dessert, the activity, the game. And sometimes the grandchildren say very little. And if it's not an in-person connection you're planning for, but a phone call, it often goes something like this. Hi, how are you? Fine. How was school? Okay. Did you learn anything interesting? No, it's boring. And it doesn't build. So it can feel like the presence is big, but the conversation is small. The effort you're putting out is enormous. And the love you're trying to transmit is beyond. And yet it feels like it's not going anywhere. But here's what I need you to know. This is not failure. This is human communication. We like to think communication is easy from the time that somebody says their first words. They've begun the effort of communication. And really, from the time a baby is born, it is embarked on nonverbal communication. So one would think that by the time you are, whatever age you have mastered communication. But science shows us it's not that simple. It's not just a matter of opening our mouths and expressing ourselves. Science shows us that we need structure and support and guidance and direction and many, many things to really communicate successfully. I want to share with you the research of Professor Alison Wood Brooks, and the book that she recently put out called Talk, The Science of Conversation. Now, she creates a four-part model, one for each of the letters of the word talk, T-A-L-K. But more than that, she really unpacks the struggle and the many levels of problem and barriers that we run into in our efforts to make meaningful conversation. I will say that one of those pieces that she talks about in her book, and I talk a lot about in coaching, is where our ego gets in the way of our goal. Our goal is to have a meaningful, powerful connection conversation. But our ego often gets in the way because we want it to happen, and that's all we are thinking about. I talk all the time about a meaningful, joyous Jewish legacy. But if that's all we're thinking about, we can't even create it. So if we go through Professor Brooks' model, the T of talk stands for topics. Choose your topics before the conversation begins. When you're running off to buy the food or make the food or prepare the plan or make the phone call with your grandchildren beforehand, brainstorm. Think about what can we talk about? Write it down. Make a list of things that maybe were mentioned before. Maybe you know what's been going on, and write it down so that you can ask. So instead of getting into your head, you have it on the paper to guide you, the topics. And really, if you don't have a clue, ask ChatGPT. Ask him, my grandson, granddaughter is this old and lives in this place. What are some topics I could talk about? And you might learn some things you didn't know. You could ask your, what does 6'7" mean? I heard this recently. There's many ways you could take it. So that's the T, topic. Choose them beforehand. Put intentionality into the conversation. Plan ahead. That's a big piece of the grand plan. The A stands for ask. And here is where our ego and ourselves get in the way. In that conversation, the angels ask, as I said before, where is your wife? They start by asking a question. But really, the goal would be for your question to lead to another question so that your grandchild is really unpacking and feeling connected. Oh, you care. You're not just jumping around and you haven't given up. So when you ask how your day was to them and they say, boring, then you could come back with, was it the same as yesterday? Yeah. Did you have the same thing for breakfast? Oh, no. What did you have today? Right? And just keep going so that you're connecting, searching for something meaningful to put in the conversation, some information, and build on it. Some other time I'll talk about the rest of the book talk. But right now, I want you to think about those. Because grandparents can improve that engagement and that connection with such simple, small preparations. Okay? 1, stop blaming yourself or the child when that conversation doesn't happen. When there's quiet moments, appreciate them for what they are. I just said ask question, and there's value to it. There definitely is. But there is also imbalance, not imbalanced, imbalance, balancing the value of quiet moments and conversation. Okay? How long would it take you to prepare topics? If you're already holding a small list of them, you're ready to go. What if you didn't even have to prepare that list? So, in connection to this week's Torah portion and the book, I have created a tool to help. 18 conversation starters to help you begin. 18 topics that open doors, because that communication is a skill and you can learn it. So this resource is part of my coaching process. Again, please book a free meeting, book a packet of ongoing coaching, or just sign up in the show notes for these 18 conversation starters. I really want it to be l'chaim, to be putting that life into your connections. And each of these conversations is the first one to ask. And then you have to come up with the next question based on their answer. And maybe you share a little bit about yourself and then ask the next question so that you can really be building on the topic by asking questions and sharing in a reciprocal process. Hopefully, between now and Shabbat, you'll have more of a chance to look at the Torah portion of Vayera. The angels barely speak, but that encounter becomes an enormous part of the covenant of Jewish peoplehood. It is the catalyst, the moment of Sarah's laughter, which I personally love, but of them becoming parents and grandparents. The birth of Isaac, of Yitzchak, comes out of that moment with the angels. It felt like it was nothing. Maybe it could have. Okay, I'll say to Avraham and Sarah, it probably felt like an incredible, divine, and important moment. If I had been in their shoes, I probably would have been disappointed. When I am hosting people and they barely say anything and all they do is eat the food and leave, I, today, Sharona, am hurt by that. Avraham and Sarah are much, much holier people than I. And you as a grandparent, I don't know where you're holding in that balance. But what I want you to understand is when it happens in the Torah, that encounter is deep and powerful, and change for the whole world happens in that brief encounter. The future is born in that connection, the roots of the future. I want you to know that the same is true in the conversations that you have with your grandchildren. Be you welcoming them into your home, going on vacation with them, or just on the phone. The foundation is being built in those connections. And to some people's perspective, like Anna's or mine, but maybe not Abraham and Sarah, that connection might feel a little bit lacking. But that's where you're going to come in. You're going to appreciate it for what it is and then build on it with topics and asking and building meaningful connection. It's your presence that matters, and what you prepare for your presence matters. So do it. Put yourself out there. Come up with the topics. Get them from the show notes. Do not underestimate the quiet moments as well. Anna really was thrilled with her Shabbat experience. She just hoped it would be more. And that is part of grand plan, is the hoping and working towards making it more so you can reflect on your progress and on your joyous Jewish legacy. So check the show notes. Book a free legacy planning call with me. Sign up for a coaching package. Enjoy L'chaim 18 conversation starters. And start by making the next phone call, the next time that you are interacting with your grandchildren. Make it soon and make it meaningful. But before you pick up that phone, have your topics ready so that you are as present as you can be in making your meaningful, joyous Jewish legacy.